Hello, welcome to Driven It. I'm out and about today in my own little car, my little Honda Jazz. I thought, do you know what? I've got 5 cars, there's 5 cars on the Birdie for Little Broken Dreams, and I thought maybe I should do a little running review of all of them. Because, you know, in the social media world and YouTube and stuff, we're all nosy, we all know what other people are driving. So this is my daily. This was not my car of choice, I must just say. This car was bequeathed to me by my father on his deathbed. He said, "Son, I want you to have my Honda Jazz." Great, thanks. I know I sound really ungrateful. I'm really not. Actually, I'm really not. This thing has proven to be quite good. However, I was like, great, thanks very much. I knew I should have made him buy that Fiat 124 Spider, but you know, he took our Fiat 500, 1.4 pop, into the dealership where his then partner was trading her in her Audi A2, and she bought a Honda Jazz, and he was like, "Oh, like that, I'm going to buy one too," and just bought one. Now this is 10 years old. Now I've had this now 2 years. Was it 3 years? It was 2 years. Oh, I've had it a couple. Anyway, I've had it a couple of years, and it has proven to be quite useful. Now, one thing does make me laugh is my friend Lauren. She worked for Honda PR, and she said at one of the European launches for the Honda Jazz, because these things have got the magic seat, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. She said the Germans found it ever so amusing because this is what they were doing. And you can't do this in many cars. She said all the Germans were doing was just running through it because they found it hilarious. Because let's face it, you can't do this in a Volkswagen Polo. But yeah. The Germans found this very, very amusing. So never let it be said that the Germans don't know how to have a jolly good time. Now, I'm going to show you something here. Not a lot of people see this. Wow. It's the engine. Come close, have a look. Have a look and be amazed at what is there. As you can tell, it's a very, very dirty engine bay because you just don't lift it. I bought a litre of oil from Honda, £9.50 for a 020 because I don't have that in stock because all my oil shitters take much thicker oil. And yeah, that was £9.50 of money that I practically wasted because I have never had to top anything up. And do you know, I wouldn't even know. Oh no, there it is. I was going to say, I can't remember what it is. That's the cap of mystery because you never turn it. Oh, there's moss up there. So yeah, so that is the engine of a Honda Jazz. Oh, sorry. As you can tell, it's incredibly boring. Now, as you know, I like a boot. I've got a little bit of a lip here. Now, I've just sewn the magic seats on this thing. And do you know what? A lot of manufacturers could learn a lot from Honda when it comes to rear usability or back end usability. Because you sort of think, oh, but to fold those up, you must have to do stuff to get the backrests down. A little lever here, and a little lever here. What else? I went to the right side, you bloody idiot. There we go. And that is, muddy footprints everywhere. That is the boot. The seats just fold down so easily that, you know what, it's quite a practical little car. And also under here, there is an extra boot floor space. Now, I was about to head off and do some driving impressions, but I'll tell you the faults that the Honda has before I go into all that other stuff, because there's a few. There's one major one, and then one that really, really does infuriate me. So the one that really, really infuriates me is the ventilation system, because you've got aircon and all that stuff, but you've also got climate control. However, the climate control in this thing has a tendency, and I'm sorry Honda, and I'm sorry other manufacturers that do it, it really is heckin' annoying, particularly if, like me, you have smelly feet. My feet do smell at times. I'm like, ugh. So I have to keep them nice and clean. However, when they've been in shoes and stuff, and I've been working and walking around, I get very, very sweaty feet. So this thing, when you put climate control, likes to literally put the blow fans on the feet. Now, when you've got smelly feet, or you've got wet shoes and a little bit of a wet carpet, and you're driving along and you're going, I don't have a dog. Literally, you get the awful stench of wet dog coming from your carpets. And the other thing it does, because it literally then just throws on climate control thing, everything to the floor, and this is why I was going to go off and do driving impressions, but I can't at the moment, is because everything goes to the floor, nothing goes to the screen, and it all mists up. So I have to literally go through all the settings and go, right, no, I'm going to go that one. Now, there is a button that goes straight for the screen, cuts everything off, but it doesn't put the auto on. And you put the auto on and it goes straight back to the feet. So this really does absolutely infuriate me, because I don't really like the ventilation on my feet anyway. I always like the windscreen covered because it clears all of this. Now, it is quite effective because literally just putting that on, let me turn the fan down because it's too noisy, it is actually clearing the screen quite nicely. But there we go. However, there is another problem we have since discovered with the Honda Jazz. And my good friends at Honda were telling me these things have a tendency to make the ECU go bang! And the reason why they go bang is because the injectors fail. They're tiny little wirings. Lots of new cars now, you look at the size of the wiring, it's tiny, tiny little wiring. And anyway, inside the injectors it fails. It goes and then blows up your ECU, rendering this no more useful than a broken fridge. You leave in the driveway, scrap it. That said, there are many of these still out on the road, still operational. So how much of a big problem is this? I'm not really sure, I can't really tell you, but that is a problem that you have. So always bear in mind that this is a problem that can happen with these. Now, let's go for a drive, because there are some things about this car. It will max out at 109 miles an hour. I'm not going to try and get there, I'm on the public highway. And you really wouldn't want to get to 109 mile an hour in this thing, because, well, let's put it this way, we've got a CVT gearbox in this car, and it will do 0 to 60 in between 11 to 13 seconds, depending on what you're reading. And to get to that 109 miles per hour with a CVT gearbox, this thing probably will spin around at about 7,000 RPM. We're going to hit the VTEC. You'd never know if you hit VTEC. It's not like a Civic Type R, but literally you'll be driving there and you'll be going, sorry, and that's not very pleasant. So you won't hit out 109 mile an hour. You'll get to 70 and you'll go, yeah, that's more than enough. However, thankfully we have got cruise control, so you can go cruise control, set S70, and off you go. I'm wobbling the steering wheel. I will say one thing about the handling of this thing. The steering wheel is woefully dead. It's electronically assisted or whatever. It's not great. Anyway, max speed 109 mile an hour. Fuel economy really varies between what you read. I get about 44 out of this 1.5 little engine. Now they do say you sort of go, I think between 40 to 60 is its sort of range. I've never seen 60. I've never really seen more than 47. But there we go. And I'm looking down because I've had to make notes because I forget so much. And oh yes, and the power. Power. We have 99 brake horsepower. I almost told you 100. It's not. 99 horsepower. Now remember that 99 horsepower, because I'm going to come up with something that's going to upset people. Anyway, let's go. Now we're not going to hit 60 because I'm on the public highway. This is a 60 mile an hour road, but we're not going to try and get there. And I've got a car now that's just gone in front of me. So let's go. Now, so much power, but even with the traction control on, you'll never spin the wheels in this thing. Now, handling is quite entertaining. I have had some fun in this thing. It sits on 185 section tyres, so they're a bit grippy. To be honest with you, the demographic in the UK, old people buy this. In Japan, it's home market. It is aimed at young people. Young people love this. In the UK, old people buy this. So, yeah, it's spec'd up in the UK with 185 section tyres on its 16-inch alloys. You don't need that. To be honest with you, if you fitted a slightly narrower tyre, you could probably improve the fuel economy. Anyway, I'm digressing. The handling is quite entertaining, despite the dead steering and the woeful CVT gearbox, which sometimes, if you're driving along 0 to 60 in traffic light Grand Prix, whee, is quite exciting, and it does take people off guard. However, that performance doesn't transpire to on-the-road performance, because you're driving along at 30, 40 and you go, right, I'll put my foot down. And sometimes this gearbox goes, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And it really, really doesn't sometimes know what it's doing. Today, I have to say, I'm not sure what the hell's going on with my car, but the gearbox is quite responsive. But a lot of times I'm having to bang it down into low to make it a little bit more enthusiastic. And you do find it. I used to do that actually with my old Mark II Golf, but then that had a lush box than a CVT gearbox. Yeah, these are not good. I'm not a big fan of CVT gearboxes, if I'm honest with you. However, Toyota have made an absolutely exceptional gearbox in their Toyota Yaris. I went to the update launch of that last year, and David from PR was saying, oh, they've done blah, 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 on the gearbox, and I was like writing my notes. I went, fucking hell, really? I thought, kick him in the bollocks if it's wrong. I didn't have to kick him in the bollocks because actually it was a really nice gearbox. Anyway, going off topic there. So, performance on these things, yeah, it's as a city car, this is pretty good. It's got reasonable handling, it's got a reasonable ride, bit joggly, but then it's quite Japanesey, but also a bit Japanese, a bit hard, quite sporty. Now, remember when I was saying about that 99 horsepower, etc., and how I'm going to say something that's going to upset people? Well, here we go. I am going to go on record and say that these are better than the Fiat Panda 100 horsepower. The car that everybody loves. Everyone loves them, and I can't deny it. They are rather fun. 0 to 60 for those is 9.5 seconds, and they hit a maximum speed of about 115 miles per hour. So performance-wise, they are better than these. But that's pretty much all it has in its favour. Because as a usable car with 100 horsepower, you can't really go much wrong with one of these. And I will say that these are a little bit more practical, and these will probably do a lot more besides. Now, the 100 horsepower Panda does have sporty, aggressive looks on its side. These don't. If honestly, I think these look a bit like a shoe. This is a later model, 2014, 2015, so it's got an angular front bumper, as prior to that it had smoother bumpers. But there we go. I said it first. I think these are better than 100 horsepower. Although people could be saying, you're only saying that because you haven't got one. And you're quite right. Although we did have a 100 horsepower Fiat Panda, which my father traded in for this. Now that had the Fiat's automatic gearbox thing on it. And I have to say, that was quite fun to drive. And he did say himself that it was fun to drive compared to this. But there we go. I said that. So, to sum up, a little Honda Jazz. You could buy a lot worse out there. For a runner, for a daily car, do you know what? You really, really cannot go far wrong with a Honda Jazz. It does all you needed to do. And do you know what? I'll even go as far to say it's pretty much all the car you will ever need. Now, the one thing, as much as I've just said it's really, really practical, the one thing, parcel shelf is an absolute pain in the arse to get in. Lots of snot. Right. Oh, I've got a bloody wet nose like a fucking dog again. Right. Oh, God, excuse me, this is really uncouth. But I've got no tissues and a really wet nose. I know, that was disgusting, wasn't it? Nice. I've done everything. Yay! I put here cut. Why have I put cut on my notes? I don't know. It's quite all right. So there's a little jogger running along, giving him lots of space. I'm not a monster. 140 on the clock. Because this thing will be... And that's really not pleasant, as you've probably just guessed. Anyway, let's do some driving impressions. Whee! We have been out for 37 minutes doing driving impressions up and down my road. And I just hope I can make something out of that. Because if not, it's what we're doing tomorrow. Another 37 minutes of up and down driving. Oh. Do you know, I was talking to friends the other day. We were talking about talking to the camera while driving. And you know, it's not as easy as it looks. I do actually have newfound respect. I may have said this before somewhere before, but I do have newfound respect for people that drive and talk to the camera because they make it look so easy. I can tell you, it really isn't, because you have all these ideas in your head and you sit there on the sofa and you go, think you're talking to the camera, think you're driving. You get behind the wheel of the car and then you suddenly go and have a massive brain fart. GoPro, stop recording.